Okay, we're live. I'm back on Sunday night, the Spotlight series. Sorry, I'm a little bit late. As always, there's always something slightly off, but we're good. I'm gonna share the show on my page so you guys can know that I'm live, okay? And I'll wait for you guys to come on India Freak. Like I've been telling you guys this week, the show is back on India Freak. Hey Cass, I see you. Thanks for coming on India Freak for the show. Thanks for being loyal to the Spotlight series. I'm gonna share the show. So share the show, Cass, so I can have people come on. Tonight's show, we're talking about Black Panther, the movie, the movement, the message, because there's been this whole back and forth with everybody who's seen the movie, and people have different takes on it, different opinions and different things to say. It's like this whole war of words going on, Africans versus African Americans. So I wanna, put this out there and have this conversation, not just with me, but with everybody else, I want you guys to call me if you want to chime in, because this is a discussion for everybody. If you've been to the movie theater to see Black Panther, if you have feelings about it, if you're wondering why everyone is wearing their African attire, even African Americans, even the ones who felt like they never had connection to Africa, and now they're donning the African outfits and going to see Black Panther. I want us all to be able to talk about it, because for a long time there's been this not even hating message or hating agenda, but like this whole war between Africans and African Americans, where Africans literally suffer in the hands of African Americans. Because when we were in school, they would be calling us all these names: African booty scratcher, go back home, go back to the motherland, all this stuff, So I really want us to get it out there. First of all, let me just come share the show real quick, and then we can talk, because I have a whole agenda for tonight, okay? Hey Cass, how are you? How you doing? Hey Jojo, let me see who else is watching. Hey Alvin, I miss you guys. We were on a little hiatus, but India Freak is back. The Spotlight series is back. Shelly Yima is back. So we're going to be doing this every Sunday. I didn't want to do a show with a guest tonight, because like I said, I wanted us to have this general discussion. So we're doing it live tonight. Share the show. Invite your friends to come and watch the show. I'm actually sharing it right now. So just honestly, please give me a moment. And then I'm going to come back to you guys, so we can all talk, because we're talking tonight. That's what it's about. We're talking, okay? I'm live, and I'm happy to be back. So yes, the Spotlight series is back. I miss you guys. I really did. I miss you guys. So chime in with me. I see your conversations right there. Let me see what. Here's Shelly Boo. I will share the show gladly. Thank you so much, Cass. Thank you. Yeah, I so appreciate you guys. Let me share this real quick, and then we can go. So everybody can know I'm back and on. Yes, live. Just share it now. And I just did. And I myself going to be watching from my trusty handset. So yes, let's go. Let me just let's go. Let me see who else is here. Hey Robin, I was sharing the show. Hey Rachel. Hey Atoro. Atore, I should say. I'm putting your name together. Hey Kebe. So yes, tonight I want you guys. This is a general conversation for us all. Africans, African Americans. We all as one people. So this tonight discussion: Black Panther, the movie, the message, the movement. Okay, the attires, the African clothing, and people are having this discussion on Facebook, on all levels of social media. They are like, oh my God. Some people are happy to see it, and others are like, why now? Why Africans Americans want to acknowledge their roots? All along, they've been saying, oh, I'm not, well, not all, I should say. but some of them, most of them are saying, I'm not from Africa, you know. And then when we were younger in America going to school, because I don't know how it is now, I need to talk to my younger African audience, you know, how we suffer in the hands of African Americans, and they're saying, oh gosh, you African booty scratcher, go back to your country, you don't belong here. So this discussion is for tonight, and I want you guys to say, call me when it's time to chime in on each topic. So, number one, Black Panther. If you've seen it, just put a little fist in the comment section, and you know, I will give you that fist bump right back. My husband and I went to see it the other day. Gosh, I'm blown. Can I say just that? I was blown away. I'm an action fan, but let me tell you, I'm more of a storyline fan, and the storyline in Black Panther really had me blown, because the message is like, okay, we're Africans, we think we're better than other people. When they left, well, let me not just give out the movie, but you know, if you've seen the movie, you know the storyline and how the Michael B. Jordan character felt because of what happened to his father and what happened to him. Okay, so that message still resonates today amongst us Africans and African Americans. Okay, so that's it, number one, because I honestly don't want to go into the movie like that, because I'm sure there's people who haven't seen it yet. Okay, but yes, that's as far as I'm going to go into the movie. But I just want to talk about the message. The message, if you're just tuning in, we're talking about the message in Black Panther, how to be unified as one people. Because I think if more of all Black people are unified, there would be more changes amongst us and also out there. We're not 100% unified as people. So that's it. I'm so happy you guys got the message and met me here on Indie Afrik. Hey Debbie, how are you? Thanks for tuning in. And once again, if you want to chime in any of the subjects, just say call me, because I want you guys to really join me in on the show and tell me how you feel. Okay? So back to the message of us becoming one people and us becoming unified. That's a huge thing. Okay, that's a huge thing. So here's the thing I've been seeing on social media about African Americans, because most Africans already say, you know what, I'm going to represent. I'm going to go into my African outfit. I'm going to go to Black Panther. I'm going to be in it. We're going to represent. And then we have the African Americans saying, we're going to represent too. And then we see all this backlash on social media and people saying, why now? Why they want to feel like they're Africans? So you see the divide of us, you know. It's okay if suddenly African Americans are waking up, even though Wakanda is not a real place, you know, but it's good to see people waking up and coming on board. But I just want to say this, it shouldn't just be because of Black Panther. It shouldn't just be because of this fake place called Wakanda to bring us together. If you're coming and if you're just waking up mentally to say I'm African or I'm connected to my African roots, you need to stay that way. Don't just say, oh, today I'm African, I'm going to buy an outfit from somewhere to go see Black Panther and connect to my roots today because of this movie. And then after that, you said, no, I'm not African, I have no connection to it. So that's one of the subjects for tonight. So if you want to call in on that and talk about it, you can. And another thing I really wanted to address, the divide between us, especially the young generation, first generation Africans that have been here for a long time and going to school here, that experience the harshness of African Americans. I think this is where the divide came about, okay? The harshness of Africans and African Americans on Africans. Had the names they call us, African booty scratcher. You black, you black, you don't even look like us, you're different. Go back to your home, go back to your motherland, you ugly. You know, there's always been this thing, even you can be the prettiest African girl or the most handsome African guy. That African American guy or girl will find a way to belittle you, make you feel small because you're from the continent of Africa. And that's another thing that I think Africans put up with, that now they don't want to even put up with it anymore. We've become open. Our eyes have opened, and we awakened that, okay, these people thought they were better than us. But now that they made us feel bad. They put us to a place that we really honestly didn't want to go to, but it took us there emotionally. And honestly, some of us Africans are still harboring those feelings, because as a kid, when somebody is mean to you and it said things to you that just you as a person wouldn't accept mentally, it stays with you. So some of us are still harboring those feelings. So if you as an audience watching right now, hey Rhoda, hey Dizzy, welcome into the show. We're having a general discussion tonight about everything Black Panther, the message, African Americans versus Africans, you know, that's what we're talking about. So if you feel like you want to chime in on any of these things, just say call me. I will call you because I really want you guys to join me in on the show and give your opinions. You can write it in the comment section, but I'd rather you come in on the show and say it. And then here's another thing that bothers us. This whole trendy thing. Is Africa the new cool? You've guys seen that on social media, right? You've guys heard it, read it, you know, seen videos. People coming up and saying, yes, I'm African now. Africa is the new cool. Oh my God, I didn't know African clothes look this good. Wait a minute. African clothes have always looked good. We Africans have always appreciated our heritage and who we are as a people. But I feel like it took Africans, Americans, a while to get on board. Now it's kind of like a mixed message. They're on board, but it's kind of like Africa is the new cool. So if it's not cool anymore, I'm gonna walk away, you know, I'm gonna depart from it. So let me go to the comments and see what you guys are saying. Like I said, I want you guys to say call me so I can call you guys, because I really want you guys to chime in. Okay, hey Valerie, hey Patricia, hey Shaka, hey Darlington. All right, so Robin said, when folks say African Americans don't embrace African culture, it's generalizing, which is true because, like I said previously, not all African Americans do not accept their heritage. Okay, not all African Americans disregard Africans and African culture. Yes, that was Robin. Thank you, Rhoda. Patricia said, yes, we that came over in the 90s heard all the names calling. Absolutely. It was horrendous. It took us to a place where it kind of made us feel inhuman to even be, some of us even started lying and said we were probably from Jamaica, you know, because they made us feel so bad about being African. We were not worthy to even be human beings. And that's where the divide still is. Winston said we have to look for causes, not effects. The hatred are effects. Yes, absolutely. So I want to divide everything and lay it out. This is what we're doing tonight. Okay? So if you feel like, or you're still harboring feelings that, oh, somebody made you feel like a dog or made you feel inhuman because you were African, but now they're saying that Africa is the new cool. First of all, Africa is a continent. It's not a country, number one. Because some people really, really need to be informed on that Africa is a continent, it's not a country. And it's a beautiful place. The things that you see on TV in America that they refuse to show you the cities and all the modernized cities, and they show you like the village. Yes, Africa has its villages. Just how in America have its ghetto and the garbage on the street and homeless people. Everywhere have their ups and downsides. The beautiful places, the ugly places. You go to some places in America, you won't believe that you're still in America. Okay, so that's just how it is. But for some reason, because we've been brainwashed from slavery, we think that America is always better than Africa. Okay? That's one thing. Let me go to the comments. I see all you guys are chiming in. Dizzy said, I would love to chime in, but I burn my face cooking. Okay, I'm so sorry you burn your face cooking, Dizzy Dunbar. Okay, make sure Celia put some ointment on that. If it's bad, go see a doctor. Sorry about that. Trish said, I ran in school track and I was very fast. They called me African cheetah. Wow. Can you believe that, Trish? I want you to I want to call you. I want you to come on here. If you're not at work now, if you're at work, just say I'm at work. But if you're comfortable enough to come on air and share your feelings of how those name callings and how it made you feel, because that's what I want to display on tonight's show. Because we're not just talking about the good side, we're talking about the bad side of it all. Africa is not just the new cool. We want to just put this message out there and clear the air. And if you're an African still harboring feelings of things that were said to you, And if you've seen this person that said mean things to you, even though most of us are grown up now, it's okay to go ahead and say and tell them. Or if you see them on social media, you're probably not even friends with them anymore, or you probably don't even want to be friends with them anymore. But yes, at the end of the day, open up to somebody. Tell somebody how that made you feel, so that way you can be able to move on and you're not harboring feelings. Because as long as you're harboring feelings, you're not going to be as happy within yourself like you should be. That's one thing. And another thing is, maybe down the line you're going to run into that person. And if you run into that person, you can say, hey, you didn't make me feel good about this because I was from a certain country or from a certain continent, and this is how you made me feel. And now you're embracing my culture and my heritage like it's all cool. It's not cool, it's the place, and this is how it is. Just let them know. That's the message of reconnecting and going back to who we were and who we are. Scientific. All right, you said please call you. I'm going to call you. And when I call you, let me just, because right now, if I call you, make sure your phone is in landscape mode, because we're going to be side by side. If I call you, make sure your phone is in landscape mode. Okay, so let me look for you, and then I can call you. So to everybody else watching, the message is tonight, it's the message of bridging the gap, bridging the divides, and just having, it's not letting me call you for some reason. Let me go to the thing on the left. But yeah, if you want me to call you, make sure if you have let me say this real quick so I can go back to the show. If you have an Android phone, make sure your auto rotation is on, and don't have your phone in landscape mode when I call you so you can go through. If you have an iPhone, it should always be, I think it comes on automatically, auto rotation and stuff like that. But make sure it's also in landscape mode like this. This is landscape mode or horizontal. So that way, when I call you, we can be side by side. Let me go back to the comments. Bendu says, some African Americans have been woke, which is true. We're not denying that. But the recent killing of African Americans have been the main reason why most of them are trying to connect to their African roots, which is also true. But African media, white, of course, play a big part in degrading the African culture. They also play a part in the division of African Americans and Africans. I have to clap for that comment, Bendu, because it's absolutely true. Because as an African American growing up in America, and all you see is villages and tigers, lions, and bears, and cheetahs running around on your TV screen, to you, that's Africa. I guess that's their representation of Africa. And then when you met an African, you decided to call them those names that were not form-fitting. You know, those names that made them feel inhuman. Those names that belittle them. Those names that make them feel like, I'm less than you, I am nobody. So, you know, and the white media is honestly responsible for that. And that divide came from that. And that divide also came from slavery. And also that divide came from them separating, you know, this whole light skin, dark skin thing that still go in the African American community. I would even say the African community too, that have soaked into that community. It has, you know, it has affected us as people. So that's another message that, you know, that's out there that I really want us to address. And like I said again, I want people to be able to comment on the show, because today is a general conversation. I have no special guests tonight. I didn't test with anybody, because this is something I really wanted to address as people. You know, we have African American friends. We Africans, we have African American friends, and our African American friends have us as their friends. So this is what we need to address, you know. Let me go back to the comment. My partner, India Freak, says some Africans are not nice to African Americans as well. But why do you think that some Africans are not nice to African Americans? Don't you think that's because they were ridiculed because of who they were and where they were from? You know, being African. They didn't see, you know, not a lot of young African Americans back in the days, the early 90s. Like the early Africans that came here to America, you know, I don't know about Europe or Australia and stuff like that. If you live in Australia or Europe and you're watching the show, you should feel free to chime in, especially if you went there in the early 90s. But the early 90s, late 80s, Africans that came here suffer immensely at the hands of African Americans because they themselves, honestly, they didn't know any better. Let me just put it out there. What they saw on their TV screens didn't really show the real Africans or the African nations, the cities. All they showed were huts and grass and lion, and bears, cheetahs running around. So those were the things they chose to see us as when they met us in high school. Those were the names they chose to call us. So they themselves actually became inhuman from what they saw and how they were brainwashed. Okay? That's to your comment, my partner on Indie Freak. That's why some Africans honestly don't like African Americans, because they're still harboring the feelings. If anybody made you feel less than human, it's gonna take a while for you to get over it, because they made you feel lower than pus, honestly. Here Tiffany, Trish says some of our own Africans used to lie saying that they were Jamaican. So true. Oh my goodness. When I was in high school, we had a lot of Africans in my high school. For some reason, we actually stood out, and we were bold enough and brave enough to speak up for ourselves, and we didn't take crap from no African Americans. So I would say the school I went to, we bonded together, which was a good thing. A lot of Africans, we bonded together. Us Africans, we bonded together. I shouldn't say a lot of Africans. So that way we knew how to stand up and stand out, and we spoke for ourselves. But other Africans didn't have that. And that's why even some of them who are grown men and women today probably don't even like their counterparts called African Americans, because those people suffer a lot. We suffer. Okay? Cassandra said, Preach Shelly Boo, there are great and bad places everywhere in the media. Everywhere. The media always show the slums of Africa, never the beauty of its countries. And that's also the downfall of the media. And it became the downfall of African Americans not actually even trying to get to know Africans. When I first came to America, I went to a boarding school. So that stuff I didn't get to experience it within my 5 years of being in America. But when I left my boarding school and went to public school for the first time, then I experienced the hatred of African Americans against Africans. I really didn't know what that was until I met all these other Africans I didn't even know existed. We became friends. We love on each other. I'm still friends with those people today. Those are my best friends. But we did not take crap. We told them, we educated them. Because if you come to me and say, oh, didn't you used to live in the huts in Africa? And I'm going to come at you and say, no. We had roads, we had cars, and if it wasn't for the war in my country, I would still be living there. So I had no choice but to flee for my life and come here. But don't you ever get it twisted. We had everything that you think you have and even better, okay? So we actually educated them. We didn't curse at them, but we make them understand, and we actually show them pictures. Like, Africa is not just all villages and huts. Yes, they have those things because we have villages and we have cities. Just how your villages will be your slums and your homeless people and all those things. But you guys refuse to address those things, okay? I'm going to go comment by comment. But for me not to do all this talking, I really want you guys to be brave enough and tell me you want to chime in with me so I can bring you on air. Rachel said, I would never use that other lie. Too proud to be Liberian. But Rachel, you're one of the few who were strong enough to not lie and say you were from the Caribbean. You were from anywhere else but Africa because of how they made you feel. There were a few Africans who were strong enough to stand up to African Americans and say, okay, look, this is not how it's going down. You're not going to make me feel inferior, okay? So you became superior by saying that. You made them understand. You actually made them feel smaller. So yes, there are a few people like us out there, but there are some people who couldn't speak up for themselves. Robin said, but what about what Africans say about African Americans? Let's be honest, Africans have not always appreciated African American culture. What is, honestly, let me ask this before I finish your comment, Robin. What is African American culture? Number one, I want to know, what is African American culture? Because some Africans, yes, some African Americans have accepted that they're from Africa. Their roots is in Africa. Their people were stolen from Africa and brought here as slaves. Okay? That's fine. I'm friends with those people. I love those people because they love me. But the ones who refuse to say, oh no, my ancestors are not from Africa, but yet now, which is why we're having this discussion, they are donning the African outfits and going to see Black Panther because it's a movement. And then after that, they go back to who they were, many old African Americans themselves. And then Africa is the new cool, which is the other topic for tonight. Is Africa just the new cool because now you're experiencing the culture, but later on you're going to go back to your mean old selves? That's the other thing for tonight. Is Africa the new cool, or are people just waking up as Africans and appreciating the culture and want to continue to appreciate the culture? So let me go back to your comment. Africans have not always appreciated African American culture. Think of Akata, name calling of AA. I learned it. It is a Yoruba word that means wild dogs. Is that hat not as insulting and dehumanizing as booty scratcher? Okay, so I've heard this term Akata a lot. Okay, the term Akata means I don't even know what it means. Wild dogs. That's what you just said. It means wild dogs. But yes, those people that created the name Akata, or it's Yoruba meaning wild dogs, came from her Africans. I'm gonna generalize this because I don't know, but I think it came from her Africans because how they were made to feel in high school, growing up in America with their African American friends. Okay, let me drink my tea a little bit. But yes, I think that's that Akata word, which I've heard a lot. The first time I heard it, I had to ask my friend, what the hell is that? What is Akata? What does that mean? And they had to tell me like, the first time I actually heard it, and I told my friend, my Liberian male friend, I was dating an African American guy. Then he goes, oh, you're dating an Akata. So I'm like, what does that mean? What is an Akata? You know, he was like, oh, a Yankee. That's another thing. So I guess now that you put it in the comment, it means wild dogs. That's also degrading. But like I said, it's always been like that with Africans and African Americans. There is this huge divide. We need to bridge the gap. And it's a good thing that this movie came out now, this movement, and that people are talking, and people want to dress up and feel pretty and feel handsome and stand at the poster, do their little thing, and, feel proud to be African. But my only message is, continue to feel like you are African, not just because of this movie. Wakanda is not a real place. Ghana is, Liberia is, Togo is, Ivory Coast is, Ethiopia is. There are many, many countries in Africa you can choose to go visit, okay? You can choose to connect to any one of them because you felt proud to be from Wakanda, which is not a real place, because of Black Panther. But do your research. Africa is not a country, it's a continent. Do your research and see which one of those beautiful countries you want to go visit. Mix in with the people. Eat the food, drink the drink, dance with them, sing their songs, and, and experience it for yourself. Let me go back to the comments. All right, Winston was talking to India Free. Winston said, Robin, these are all effects, not the causes. Let's get to the roots. So Winston, you're onto something. I want you to list the causes because I think I've listed a few of why these effects are happening. So list the causes, okay? And if you want me to call you, I can call you. You can join me on screen and you can talk about it too, instead of listening in the comment section. Lai Somawe, if that's how I'm pronouncing it right, said the light skin, dark skin thing is also in Africa. Yes, the light skin, dark skin thing have permeated the African continent. It has, oh my goodness. I'm going to continue to say permeated because that's the best word I can come up with right now for the African culture, because we've taken this whole thing. Okay, if I'm light skinned, I'm better than my African brother. If I'm light skinned, I'm better than my African sister. I would get the job first. I would get the boyfriend that I want first. I would get her man to like me better than her because she's darker than me. Or if I'm light skinned, I get in a music video first. You know, if I'm light skinned, they choose me first for that movie role better than her, better than him. So yes, this whole thing is still causing a divide. So what can we do? You ask my audience tonight. Let's list the things that we can do to make it better, to bridge the gap. This is why we're having a conversation, bridging the gap between Africans and African Americans who have not accepted that their roots are from Africa, you know? So let's list the things that we can use to bridge the gap, to be nicer to each other, not just because of the movie, not because of the fake place called Wakanda, but us. We are the real people. Let's come together. So my audience, I want you to list the things that we can do to bridge the gap and make it better for us to become one people, okay? Trish said they refer to us as Africans while referring to themselves as blacks. And we're all black. That's the thing we fail to realize. Light skin, dark skin, fair skin, darker skin, African, African American, we're all black. That's it, we're black. We're not different from each other. Because at the end of the day, if you get shot by somebody, whether you're light skin or dark skin, guess what they're going to say? You're black. That's it. My partner in the Africa said African Americans was also told that the African brothers sold them to the white man. Can you really blame them for being mad? And this is Alvin Yeman, who's my partner on Indie Africa. Yes, and that's another thing why some African Americans harbor feelings toward Africans, because if they're gonna feel like, wow, my own brother sold us into slavery. You know, we were free people in Africa doing what we did best, live the best life, eat the best food, clean water, and then for money, for all these things, they sold us, and then we became slaves in America. So that's another thing that caused a divide. So the message here, we're talking about the divide and the things that separated us as Africans and African Americans. But what can we do to bridge the gap? What can we do? That's what I want to read. If you want to come on here and talk about it also, just say call me and I will click on your name and call you. Alvin said the white man did a good job with the divide and conquer brainwashing on the black people. Brainwashing is still working. It's still working. There are so many brothers and sisters out there who are so brainwashed. It's not even funny. It will take you years and years to change their mind. And trust me, sometimes I give up. I don't have that time to keep trying to change somebody's mind about who they really are, like your king and queen, but you want to think that you're European and you're something else. I don't have that time on my hand to keep trying to change somebody's mind. Brainwashing works, and when it's stuck, it's stuck. Robin said, agree with Stan. My point is that both are equally guilty of the hatred and dehumanizing of Africans or African Americans, which is also true. We're equally held accountable for this divide. So we Africans feel one way, we African Americans feel another way. Okay, so we're gonna keep polling with all these hated words against each other, all these languages against each other, and the divide is gonna keep getting greater and greater and greater and greater. Okay, so I keep reading all the things that separate us. Yes, and that's what I wanted to talk about. But also I want us to list the things that can help our communities not be separated anymore. Help our children play more together. Okay, keep us as one people. Come together as one people, because I just don't want this narrative to go away when Black Panther goes away. I just don't want this embracing my African attire to go away when Black Panther goes away. I don't want, oh, I'm African today, but I'm no more African tomorrow when Black Panther goes away. That's the thing. This is why we said we're having this discussion tonight. You know, as some African Americans just waking up now because this movie have stirred up something within them. You know, like, oh my God, this Black Panther really have me going, you know? And they, yes, of course they have, I don't have no, trust me, I've read things with people saying, why now? Why they gotta wear the African outfits? The more, the merrier. Wear your outfits. go to the movie theaters, show out, shine out, be who you are. But my message here today is that just don't do it because of the movie. If you're going to embrace it forever. Let it be a part of your life. Be African 100%. Don't just be African because of the movie. And then 2-3 weeks from now or a month from now, when the movie dies down, you become something else. You go back to just being American. Not even African American, but American or black, as I would say. Alvin said, don't Egyptians say they are not African because their skin is a lot lighter? Of course, lighter, I should say. There are many countries, North Africa especially, who feel like, oh, sometimes they degrade their own African American brothers. Thus, the divide amongst us, light skin versus dark skin. This thing have gone in circles and in circles and in circles that it affect the children that are, born today, grow up tomorrow. They become the same thing. It's a circle. It keeps spinning. The cycle continues. So how can we change this? That's what I want to talk about also. I want somebody to list the things that we can do to change it. Okay? Rachel said exactly. Let's see how long would be cool for some. In Africa, it's not cool. Okay? It's not the cool thing. That's another thing we're talking about tonight. Africa is the new cool. No, baby. Africa is not the new cool. Africa have always been cool, okay? We've always been representing, regardless of how we were made to feel back in the day. We were cheetahs, we were lions and bears. We were hippopotamus. We were from the village. We were sleeping in huts. We were sleeping on the ground. But no matter what, we appreciated where we live. We love where we live. Some of us had no choice but to run away because our countries fell into this war, but we still appreciated where we were from. Okay? Let me keep it going. Trish says some African Americans will change you into that thing is mixed. Indians just so they wouldn't be called. Oh, some African Americans would tell you that they are Indians just so they wouldn't be called African American, which is crazy. I'm going to skip over the little comments. Cassandra said that African Americans that deny the roots are the delusional ones. They have a massive complex and see themselves superior to Africans. Okay? Harry said, nobody really have the answers. Let me go back. Both sides are hurt and looking for answers. We are better together, but first we have to heal. Thank you. That's what I've been trying to say. We have to heal. And in order to heal, we have to open up about how we were made to feel, first of all. If an African made an African American feel some type of way, they need to open up. The same way they made us feel some type of way, we need to open up. That's how healing begins, okay? There's a lot more pain. Just like the young whites didn't enslave Africans, and we can't hold them accountable. But yet we do honestly still hold them accountable because of what their people did. Okay? African Americans can't hold us accountable for not coming to rescue them. We all have to find a way to forgive and heal. We can't keep allowing our past to hold us back. If we unite, it will be harder for everybody to start treating us like crap. Black is black. They don't say African or African American. They say nigger or black. Harry, thank you for that comment. You said so much of what I've just been trying to display for the audience to understand what is going on. First thing, we have to heal as people. We have to open up. And how does healing begin? We have to open up to each other. The conversation must be had. We must talk to each other and open up and begin the healing process. And then that's the only way we can come together as one people. Because like Harry said, if you get shot by a cop or something happen, you're not black. You're not African American. You're not African. You're black or you're a nigger. I'm sorry to say that word, but it's true. That's just how it's addressed. That is the dialogue. That is the language. That's how you will be called at the end of the day. Okay? This is it from the movie as well as reality. African Americans are angry because when they went missing, the so-called Africans didn't even send a boat to look for them, which is another thing that keeps them hurt. Cassandra said, it shouldn't take a movie to have you connect and acknowledge your roots. Come on, man. You said call her. Who should I call? Okay, I don't know. M. Cox Mitchell said, please stop acting like Africans know their culture and history. Who wrote your history books? Good point, okay? M. Cox Mitchell. You know, it's so many great points on here. Everybody have a lot of great things to say. You know, we don't know who wrote, you know, like we said, each country have the history books. We don't know who wrote the history books. But we hope it's our own people who wrote the history books. And we're not going to generalize just how we're not generalizing all Africans Americans. Like I said previously, some African Americans actually do acknowledge their roots. That yes, our people came from Africa. I'm connected to Africa. My roots are in Africa. And then we have some who doesn't want to even connect to the African roots. And that's fine. We're not forcing you to. But you know, at the end of the day, some Africans actually do know their roots and appreciate it. And some don't. And that is such a great comment, M. Cox. Robin said, good question, Shell. To answer that question of what is African American culture, one must first ask, what was the experience of African Americans in the U.S.? So yes, as an African American, and if you know your history and you want to talk about the experience, because like Robin said, the question is, what is African American culture? That is such a great question. If you can answer that, if anybody wants to answer that, come on air and answer that. That would be great if you feel like you can answer it. What is the African American culture, okay? Because yes, they were made to feel a certain way. They would feel also less inhumane and stuff like that. You know, some of them still harbor feelings from having their ancestors as slaves, okay? So that's something that's still happening. Alvin said, we can start speaking English and stop talking to the colloquial nonsense. Colloquial, first of all, is not nonsense. It's part of who we are as Africans. Just how, you know, the colloquial was probably passed down from slavery to the Black Americans, to African Americans, and it turned into slangs. So that's another thing. Maybe that's where slangs came from. Miss Francine said, thanks for bringing up this conversation. This is a huge problem, especially in the workplace. African Americans and African conflict prevent upward mobility in companies. Causes. Both African Americans project negativity onto each other because they internalize the hatred that the oppressors imposed on them during slavery and colonization, which is so true, Miss Francine, because we're still harboring the feelings from slavery and we're pushing it onto each other. We're pushing it onto each other with hatred towards each other, and this whole divide keep going left and right. One party is going left, one party is going right, and we're not even trying to come together. It's a good thing now that I see people coming together because of this movie. But I really want us to continue to come together after the movie and continue to have the conversation and say, hey, I recognize that I'm still harboring slavery feelings. I recognize that I'm still harboring that my people were taken from our lands and brought here and enslaved and mistreated and harmed and murdered and raped and killed, and all those horrible things happened to them. I recognize that. Now let's have the conversation of being free and healing. Let's start the healing process. Let's become one people, because the more we stay divided, the more our oppressors will keep us divided. It's like we don't get it. We need to get it. The more we stay divided, the more our oppressors will continue to have us divided. Okay? Cassandra said, cat calling tea kettle black. Hello, what's the difference? Is your root started from Mama Africa? You're African, like it or not. Okay? Miss Francine said, we need to find a way to sit down and talk to each other. Absolutely. African and African American leaderships need to organize ongoing conference and events that bring us together. Public service awareness has to occur. Another great point, Miss Francine. Seriously, the conversation needs to be started. The conversation must be had. You know, let's open up to our brothers and sisters. We sitting here harboring feelings and going home and telling our partners about it instead of opening to that person that honestly hurt us, belittled us, made us feel small, made us feel less than human, call us cheaters. We have to open up. Maybe some of us, we haven't ran into those people from high school that made us feel less than human, but talk to your brother. talk to your spouse, talk to your sister, talk to your friend and say, you know what? I'm still carrying this hatred inside of me. I want to let it go. I want to be able to be a part of the healing. And that's the only way we can heal, when we open up and talk to each other. Alvin said the white man did a number on us. Yes, the white man did. But we are doing a number on us also. Can I just say this? Yeah, let me just say this. The white man did a number on us. That's been recognized. Slavery, the rape, and everything that happened to our ancestors. Yes, we know that it happened. But we are still doing a number on ourselves. Do you guys know that? That we are still doing a number on ourselves. We still catcalling. We still calling each other the not kings and queens, but we're calling each other names that don't belong. You know, we're refusing to love on each other and love everybody around us, because this hate, okay, this cycle of hate is still going on. So we can't move forward if we keep acting, you know, if we become our own oppressors also. You know, we already know what happened in the past, and it's still happening, yes, but we are also still doing it to ourselves. So as long as we keep doing it to ourselves, we're never going to move forward. We're never going to heal as people. We're never going to become one. Okay? We're going to continue to think that Africa is the new cool. And Africa is not the new cool. Africa have always been popping. Let me just say that. But in order to connect to your African roots, you have to heal internally. Okay? Start the conversation. We need to start the conversation. This is the beginning. I started my conversation. Start your conversation. Determine You says, Africa is for African home and abroad. Cassandra said, you took the words out of my mouth, Shelly. Africa has always been cool. In fact, damn cool. Robin said, yo, Black Americans have always wore African attire. I remember the 80s. That's true. In the 90s with shows, musicians, and movies like The Cosby. A Different World, Do the Right Thing, Queen Latifah, KRS-One, Mona Love, The Fugees, and Rakim. And yes, and those are the other people. You know, I haven't been generalizing. If you're just tuning in, we're not generalizing. Some African Americans actually did and still do accept the African roots. But then we have some who don't. And those who don't now actually are the ones who are probably hype about the Black Panther movie. We all hype because the message is great. I want to go back and see that movie again. I want to dress my little daughter up and take her to see it, even though she's not going to understand it. But because I'm proud that this movie is not just action. The narrative, the message of unifying is what really had me going, because I'm a sucker for a great storyline, and this movie had it all, you know. So, but the thing is, just don't embrace it today and then lose it tomorrow, and you don't care, you know. Alvin said, hold on, Africans need to chill. The African American was hung from trees, made to sleep with their mothers. The breed African American babies were used to attract alligators from the water, okay? That wives, sister, and mothers were getting raped. You guys are mad because you were called names. In my African American voice, get over the name calling, okay? No, it's not like get over the name calling. Yes, those are also our people, you know. If you recognize like you're African, you know, and you're from the line of slavery, or you're African who just came from Africa and you're living here, you're still connected to what happened during slavery. Of course, if you came here as a young African and you're innocent and you were called names, you're going to harbor feelings. So people don't just get over it just because, oh, other people went through slavery and they were hung from trees. We get it. We understand it. Those things happen. Okay, and that's why we're still harboring feelings on the young white generation. Are we not harboring feelings on the white young generation? They didn't do anything to us. Their ancestors did. So why do we continue to harbor feelings towards them? So there you go. There's another dialogue to open up. Okay? So it's so many things that we have to open up and talk about it. We're harboring feelings from slavery. We're harboring feelings on young white Americans because their ancestors did this to us, and we continue to hold them accountable. So there's many things that we can hold accountable, but while we're holding them accountable, we need to hold ourselves too accountable for not bridging the gap and talking to each other and becoming one people, but yet we keep pushing each other apart. So there's many things that we need to talk about, okay? Tia, hey Tia, welcome to the show. Tia said, I don't think there is an African American culture. There's an adaptation to the way of living in America. Just like all cultures, it's the matter of learning your history and knowing where Africans come from. Great point, Tia, which is so true because I asked the question, what is really African American culture? Do we have one? Okay? So this is what Tia was saying. She don't think there really is, but it's learning from what you think it is. You know, if you learn through behaviors, you learn through ways of learning, and it's passed down from generations to generations, and that's how we've been living. Okay? Great response, Tia. Alvin said the conquered men in Liberia treated their countrymen worse than African Americans, calling African names. But yet you're mad at the African Americans for calling you African booty scratcher. Hypocrites. No, because when the Africans left America and went back to Africa, they thought they were better than the Aborigines in Africa. That's where another divide began. Let's understand our culture, our roots, our history. Because when they left from being mistreated here and they settled back home in Africa, now they became kings and queens over those people that met there. Now they're better than the people they met in Africa. Okay, come here. Now they try to turn those people that met in their own homes into slaves, into their slaves and their cook boys and their plantation boys and girls. So yes, they took back what they endured here and suffer here, and then they tried to turn it on those people too. And that's why there's always going to be this divide. Okay, let's understand our culture and history. That's why there was a divide also in Liberia, because they took that behavior from here and took it back and tried to mistreat the original Liberians, the country people. Tia said, yes, it is the cycle and it's not going to end. I really think we're cursed. I think so too, Tia. Thank you, Andrea. So let me go back to Miss Francine. Wearing African attire because one, it's in a movie and on TV does not mean that one is embracing Africanness, African culture and value, which is true. You can wear the outfit all you want, but if you're not embracing who you are, it doesn't make you African. It has nothing to do with the culture or the roots. Sorry, when I'm doing plenty talking, I gotta drink my little peppermint tea. And I still want somebody to say, call me so you can come on air with me and give me your opinion and all these things we are talking about, because that's why I wanted to have this first comeback show as a general show to talk about our Africanness, basically, you know, African Americans versus Africans, the divide, the hatred, the words we use to attack each other, okay? Robin said, Tia, I disagree. African Americans' culture is one of strength, resilience, triumph, amazing talent, and an excellence in literature, music, and sport. A lesser people will have perished. Okay, Robin is disagreeing to Tia comment, so you can scroll back to see Tia comment. You have another great point. So you see, we have all the ups and downs of, you know, what we think is and what we think that is not. Robin also said African American culture is the conscious of America. Okay, so and Determined said Africa need a closed door policy. So you guys have all these comments and it's great. That's why I wanted to have this show, to have this talk, for us to just open the box, basically open the box and let the conversation be had. So I hope after this show, and you're that African American or you're that African still, you know, going through what you went through and saying, oh, they called me names, open up to somebody. You're not going to open up to the person that did it to you in high school or somewhere when you were growing up. Or even now, as a grown person, people can still make you feel some type of way. Open up. Open up, talk about it, start the dialogue, start the conversation, start the healing process, because I really do think without healing, we cannot become one. We cannot be open to each other, and we are going to continue to harbor feelings. We really are, honestly. You know, some of us are really outspoken, so if somebody really tried to make you feel, especially me, if somebody tried to make me feel less than who I am and say, oh, you're Liberian, you're African, you're not, you know, you're less than me because I'm African American, trust me, you're going to get a mouthful. You're going to get an education. You know, I'm not going to degrade you. I'm not going to belittle you. But I will belittle you in literature, you know, and Black excellence, basically, because I think education rocks. Because if I can make you understand educationally that I'm better, than you for even trying to belittle me, then you're going to come aboard and say, oh, wow, I really like her. I like how she made me feel because I tried to belittle her. I tried to degrade her, but she bounced back and told me what I needed to hear. And that person going to learn from that, from me just telling them what they needed to learn. I really do try to teach, and I'm not just going to come at you for coming at me. Miss Francine said, there is no African American culture without African. Thus the word African American. Yes, without the African, there's no African American culture. So that's something else we have to explore. Ankun, I think if that's how you pronounce the name. Look, Africa needs to stand up for all the blacks. Great comment, but how can Africa stand up for all the blacks if blacks aren't trying to stand up for themselves? Because Africa just cannot stand up for you because, first of all, if you don't stand up for Africa, Africa is not going to stand up for you. And Africa is just a place. The people are Africa. We are the Africans, okay? Whether you say, African American or African, we are Africa, first of all. Without us, the place does not exist. It will be there. It will be a wide open space, okay? But we are the people. So we have to be the one to stand up for each other. That's just it. Africa cannot stand up for somebody that does not embrace it. I'm African, and if you don't embrace me, I'm not going to embrace you. I'm a proud African. I always say I'm African first. I'm Liberian second, because I'm proud of Africa. Yes, she has her ups and downs. There's things that have to be mended, but I'm always African. So we just have to uplift each other and be able to speak life into each other, okay? Tia said, America is not owned by any of us. Absolutely not. We are all from somewhere else, a melting pot. So those who were born here may want to find their history. For example, my son is the first American born, and I will teach him his culture, because while he may be considered Black American, his culture stems from somewhere else. Absolutely. And that's another thing, Yatia. Thanks for bringing that up. I like that, yes, we all travel from different countries and we settle into this melting pot. Whichever melting pot you settle into, and if that melting pot makes your life better, God bless you. Okay? And if it doesn't make your life better, work harder to make your life better. But here's what I want to say. If you have a child in that melting pot, and you don't teach them the culture of where you're from, you do not appreciate where you're from. I have a daughter, and trust me, she already loves her Liberian food. She loves her Liberian food so much that she makes me laugh when she asks for it, okay? I teach her everything my grandmother taught me, my mama taught me, my father taught me, because you know what? That's how the cycle of life will continue. Okay, that's how she would know, my mama is from Liberia. My mama is from Africa. That's where she grew up before she came to America. So, thank you for that comment, Tia. If you are from somewhere else and you are in the melting pot, and you have a kid or two or three, you have children, and you do not instill the lessons you learn from your culture into them, you're a waste of time. You're a joke. That means you do not appreciate where you are from. Okay? Great one, Tia. Thank you. Miss Francine said, I find that African Americans who were exposed to African culture and made conscious about being the Africa are more willing to connect with Africans. Yes. Early education and exposure will heal the process. Absolutely. That's all it takes. That's all it takes. Education starts the healing process. Opening up starts the healing process. Okay? So, look at the time. Our time is going. We're almost up. Since nobody said call me, I guess you guys didn't want to come on air with me. It would have been nice to have one person, at least one of you, said call me and join me on air and give your opinion on everything we've been talking about. It would have been nice, instead of me doing all the talking. But I did appreciate reading all your comments. Okay, so I'm going to read a few more comments. We're going to have probably 5 more minutes of discussion before we end the show. Because, this is important. And when I end the show, like I said, Please, if you're harboring feelings and you need to heal, open up to somebody. Open up to somebody, because that is the only way we as people can become one. That is the only way we can bridge the gap. Okay? Close it. Close the gap. Income said Africa should not open its door to all blacks, regardless of whatever division we have amongst ourselves. Those divisions will always be there. You see, I love all the mixed comments. Everybody have their own opinions. We have our differences, and I like that you guys aren't afraid to put it in the comment section and say what you want to say, because this is what tonight is about, having this conversation. Okay, getting to know each other. Dizzy Dunbar said, if I go missing and you don't even send a boat to look for me, what am I to think? I mean, quite honestly, he's speaking on the whole fact of our people getting taken from Africa and brought into slavery. You don't know if they came looking for you. Those people had weapons. Those people had guns. What were they supposed to come with? Spears and chucking. Yes, you can throw spears all the time, but gun overpowered spears, my people. I mean, come on now. I mean, I kind of want to laugh at that, but I don't want to laugh because I'm having this serious conversation with you guys. We don't know if our African brothers came looking for us when they took us from where we were and brought us into slavery. We don't know. But also, they empower us. They bonded us. So there were no way we would have known that they came for us. Maybe they got shot and killed. We would never know. We just would never know. And let's stop assuming that part, that they never came looking for us. Because trust me, if you watch Kunta Kinte, he was looking for his family. Okay? He was looking for his family. He was adamant about going back home and keeping his roots and sticking to his roots. So let's just take that little message from there. Maybe they did come looking for us, but maybe they shot them down. Okay? But good one. Good one, Dizzy. Let me go back to the comments. Robin said, I agree, Professor Richardson. Wearing African attire does not mean embracing African culture. But I mentioned those musicians and show because such fervor was more than the attire. I have to press more when the comment is long. Their context and content was deeply rooted in African culture and history. This is some of the reason I go hard for African Americans. True, Robin. Katura said, I will expose my children to the warning. Cool topic. Peace. I'm out. Deuces. How will they come looking for you? Using what? Thank you. Okay? They had no ways of coming to look for you. Darlington also said, do you know how far is Africa from the U.S.? Very far. Okay? I couldn't even put it into square miles, kilometers, and all those other things. But let me just give my closing statement before I end the show. First of all, I want to welcome you all on the Indie Afrique platform. I started to do the show back here on Indie Afrique because it's important for the page to flow, for you guys to get to know the page, like the page, share the page, and this is where the show is going to be on after. I'm booking guests. I have a few guests lined up for the show, but tonight I didn't want to book any special guests because we wanted to have this general conversation. So we were talking about bridging the gap between African and African Americans, changing the narrative. Black Panther, the movement, the movie, the message is great. Wearing your African attire does not mean you're African. You have to stick to your roots if you want to get to know it. You have to study. You have to talk to your African friends. Don't just belittle them. We also spoke on the early Africans, the ones that came here in the late 80s, the early 90s, the ones that went to high school here, the way they were made to feel by the young African American brothers, the name calling. Some of us, we're grown-ups now, but we're still harboring those feelings from high school, and we haven't opened up to other people about it. So to start the healing process, we say open up, talk to somebody, and move on. When the healing process begins, we bridge the gap. Okay, so those are all the things we were talking about. So if you haven't, if you leave from here tonight, I should say, take something with you. Open up to somebody, and just move on. This whole harboring feelings will kill you slowly, and you're just not going to be 100% happy. You think you're happy, but you're really not happy. So I'm going to read 2 more comments, And then thank you guys for tuning in, and we're going to end the show. Miss Francine said, "True, Robin. I was only referring to those who are not selective Africans. Africans by movies and TV episodes." Agreed. And that's true, like we said, we're not generalizing everybody. We're not generalizing all Africans, and we're not generalizing all African Americans. But we're just saying those who have not accepted that they are from anywhere, but they are from here in America. But yet, because of this whole Black Panther movie, they want to embrace, Africa for a day, saying, "Oh, Africa is the new cool." Africa has always been cool. It's always been cool to be from Africa. Some of us never denied that we were never Africans. We always embrace our African heritage. Even though we were made to feel less human, but we still embrace who we are. We're not gonna lie. And some Africans lie because they suffer at the hands of African American calling them names. African British Stratcher, cheetah, oh, you little black faced kid, and all this stuff. It doesn't matter if you're light skinned or dark skinned. You're still black. That is the narrative we're trying to change. You are still black. So at the end of the day, accept that you're black. Not because of the hue of your skin. You are still black. Open up to someone, okay? And be good to each other. Be good to each other. Let me read that last comment. "I wish we had an African American on this show to talk about how Africans made them feel." And I really wanted an African to come on the show and talk about how they feel. And I wanted an African American to come on the show and talk about how they feel also. But nobody wanted to come in on the show. Somebody had said to call him earlier in the beginning of the show, but they didn't. I couldn't see the little thing to click them in on the show to come in. It would have been nice to have one party from each thing. African American, African, come on and say, "Hey, this is how I used to feel," or "This is how I still feel," and just tell people so that way we can learn from you. Because when you tell somebody how you feel, others will learn from you and say, "Wow, she changed me. She changed me." So I hope this conversation with me on this show changes you and help you open up, okay? Help you open up. And we're probably going to have this conversation again. You see, I'm talking too much, which is why I wanted you to join me on the show and talk about your feelings. I'm talking too much conversation. Oh, God. But anyway, it would have been nice. Great point, Alvin. It would have been nice to have somebody really come in on the show, an African American and an African come on the show and talk about their feelings and stuff like that. It would have been nice. But anyway, my time is almost up. I want to say thank you for everybody who chimed in the comment section. It was great. So next Sunday, I will be back here on Indie Afrique. The show always starts at 8 p.m. I was a little late today because I was trying to set up something, but it didn't work. But either way, I still made a show. We had a great conversation. And I want to say thank you, and I will see you back here at 8 p.m. next Sunday. Be good to each other. Start the healing process so we all can heal as people, and let's bridge the gap. I love you. Have a good night. Bye.